headlines on this Wednesday afternoon, June 19th, here on the peninsula. North Korea's Kim Jong-un and his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin sit down for their summit in Pyongyang this afternoon, following an extravagant welcoming ceremony at noon to mark Putin's latest visit to the regime in over 2 decades. Meanwhile, here in the southern part of the Korean peninsula, Seoul's foreign policy and defense officials conveyed their concerns to their Chinese counterparts regarding closer collaboration between Moscow and Pyongyang. Also, over on Wall Street, the S&P 500 soared over 13 points to close its trading session on Tuesday at a fresh high of 5,487.03 on the back of Nvidia's race to new heights. We start across the border in North Korea, where Russian President Vladimir Putin touched down in the wee hours of Wednesday morning instead of Tuesday evening as initially reported. Summit talks began after a flamboyant ceremony at noon to formally welcome Putin's latest visit to Pyongyang. For more, I have our North Korean affairs correspondent Kim Jong-sil standing by live on the line. Jong-sil, welcome.
Hello, Sunny.
Right, so do fill us in on the latest events thus far, Jong-sil.
Yes, Sunny. Just past 1 p.m. this afternoon, Russia media TASS News reported that Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un began the talks. The summit actually took place earlier than expected after an opening ceremony took place at around 12:15 Korea Standard Time. Now, you're still looking at the opening ceremony footage. The summit is reportedly accompanied by officials from both sides, 6 from North Korea, including Foreign Minister Choi Sun-yi, and 13 from Russia, including Choi's counterpart Sergei Lavrov. The summit, which is taking place right as we speak, is expected to last for about 90 minutes, and the leaders are also expected to take a walk afterwards and have tea together. Now, what to look forward to is the summit's outcome, as the two leaders have been discussing the signing of a comprehensive strategic partnership agreement for months now. On Tuesday, before leaving for Pyongyang, Putin accepted a Russian Foreign Ministry proposal to sign the partnership with North Korea, but he left room for further negotiations. So we can say that additional talks are taking place as we speak. Now, Putin arrived at Pyongyang International Airport in the early hours of Wednesday morning, as you said, for his first visit in 24 years, and was welcomed by the North's leader at the airport. He was waiting there until Putin's plane arrived. Kim accompanied him to the Kumsusan Guest Palace. It's the same accommodation used by Chinese President Xi Jinping back in 2019 during his visit. Now, regarding the visit, South Korea is closely monitoring the situation as new treaties or a joint declaration may include military cooperation, as a comprehensive agreement means cooperation in all fields, including military cooperation. The South Korean government has been consistent that any relationship between Moscow and Pyongyang mustn't violate UN Security Council resolutions, and that the relationship must not hinder regional peace and security. Just yesterday, the South Korean Foreign Ministry reiterated this stance while adding that it has clearly conveyed the message to Russia as well. We will know more when Moscow and Pyongyang announce the outcome of the negotiations and potentially after they sign the partnership agreement, and we'll have those updates in a later broadcast. That's all from me. Back to you, Sunny.
All right, Jong-sil, thank you for the update. That was our Kim Jong-sil reporting on the summit between Moscow and Pyongyang taking place in the regime as we speak. Meanwhile, Seoul has conveyed to Beijing its concerns over closer collaboration between Moscow and Pyongyang. The sentiments were shared during security talks back on Tuesday. Our foreign affairs correspondent Pyongyang has details.
Foreign and defense officials from South Korea and China met in Seoul for high-level talks on Tuesday, the same day that Russian President Vladimir Putin headed to North Korea. During the meeting, South Korea expressed concerns over Putin's visit to Pyongyang, highlighting that this should not lead to stronger military cooperation between Russia and North Korea. It once again asked China to play a constructive role in order to achieve denuclearization. In response, China said its policy towards the Korean peninsula has not changed and said it will play a constructive role in resolving issues in the region. Tuesday's 2+2 meeting was led by Vice Foreign Minister Kim Jong-un and his Chinese counterpart Sun Weidong. The two countries agreed to hold such talks last month when President Yoon Suk-yeol sat down for a separate bilateral meeting with Chinese Premier Li Chang on the sidelines of the trilateral summit with Japan. The dialogue was first established in June 2013 and was held that year and in 2015 between Director General level officials. The meeting has not taken place since then amid strained bilateral relations after South Korea agreed to deploy a U.S. missile defense shield called the THAAD system. Meanwhile, another high-level Chinese official is set to visit South Korea. The Foreign Ministry announced that Shin Chang-sing, the chief of China's Jiangsu province, will visit South Korea for 2 days, starting Wednesday.
It's a visit by a top Chinese provincial government official amid recent high-level exchanges between South Korea and China. We expect this opportunity to boost practical cooperation between South Korea and China.
Jiangsu province, located on the east coast of China, has the second largest economy among provincial governments in the country and has close trade and investment ties with South Korea. While in Seoul, Shin is set to meet with South Korea's trade minister, as well as business people in the country. Peunji, Arirang News.
And amid increased activity by Pyongyang near the inter-Korean border, there have been incidents of border intrusions by the regime soldiers that the South Korean military believes have been accidental thus far. Our defense correspondent Jeju reports.
North Korean troops briefly crossed the military demarcation line again Tuesday morning. According to the Joint Chiefs of Staff, some 20 to 30 North Korean soldiers intruded over the border at around 8:30 a.m. They immediately returned north after the South Korean military fired warning shots and aired warning messages. A similar intrusion took place on June 9th when troops appeared to get lost while working in the DMZ. As was the case then, the South Korean military says Tuesday's border crossing appears to be accidental. The regime has been actively deploying troops to the front line for various construction activities. A military official said dozens, if not hundreds, have been deployed every day since April at around 10 different places within the DMZ. The military identified ongoing activities related to the laying of mines and the clearing of wasteland, the reinforcement of tactical roads, and the installation of anti-tank barriers.
Such trends have continued for the past 2 months, and various activities are underway within the demilitarized zone currently as well.
A military official also pointed out that several North Korean soldiers have reportedly been killed or injured while laying mines. Some experts say Pyongyang might be trying to broadcast its war readiness as North Korea has restored its frontline guard posts and dismantled railways connecting the two Koreas since suspending the September 19th Inter-Korean military agreement last November. However, the South's military assesses that the measures are mainly aimed at strengthening internal control, especially to prevent North Koreans from defecting. As North Korea is expected to do more construction work within the DMZ, South Korea says it is closely cooperating with the United Nations Command to prepare for future eventuality. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
In other news, Tuesday's large-scale walkout by Korea's medical practitioners appears to have had limited impact, but threats of broader collective action are raising fears about future healthcare services. Our Moon Hye-ryun has more.
Nationwide strikes led by the Korean Medical Association has resulted in little disruption for patients so far, but stern responses from the government. The Health Ministry reported that just under 15% of medical institutions around the country staged walkouts on Tuesday. But so far there has been no major break in medical treatment at community hospitals. During a rally on the same day, the KMA announced that it will start an indefinite walkout next Thursday should the government not meet what it claims are justified demands from doctors. Doctors were immediately ordered to return to work, with the government stating that failure to comply could lead to medical license suspensions. The KMA was also reported to the Fair Trade Commission for encouraging the illegal practice of refusing to treat patients. During a cabinet meeting on Tuesday, President Yoon Suk-yeol stipulated that such illegal actions must be met with an appropriate punitive response.
정부는 국민의 생명과 건강을 지킬 책무가 있는 만큼 환자를 저버린 불법 행위에 대해서는 엄정 대처할 수밖에 없습니다. 국민이 동의하지 않고 실현도 불가능한 주장을 고집하면 모두가 피해자가 될 수밖에 없습니다.
He further emphasized that doctors should communicate their opinions instead of resorting to drastic measures, calling on junior doctors and medical students to resume their studies, and promising to provide the necessary support for them to do so. Medical professors at Seoul National University hospitals began an indefinite walkout the previous day, leading to the number of outpatient treatments at the hospital dropping by 27% on the first day. The Education Ministry responded by informing each university that professors participating in collective leave of absence from university hospitals could be subject to disciplinary action. But with medical professors at other major university hospitals, commonly dubbed the Big Five, such as Yonsei University, also set to join the walkouts next week, and others in discussion to do so too, concerns are growing over how this could develop. The Catholic University of Korea is due to gather its medical professors on Thursday to discuss this matter, and professors at Sungkyunkwan University are also to convene soon. In an effort to minimize severe medical disruptions, the government has implemented a rotational on-call system for emergency cases. 문혜련, Arirang News.
The S&P 500 surged on Tuesday to end the day's session at a fresh high amid advances by Nvidia. Our Hydrangeas has the latest.
Both the S&P 500 and Nasdaq closed at record highs on Tuesday, with the S&P 500 hitting a new all-time high for the second day straight. The S&P 500 rose 13.80 points, or 0.25%, to close the trading session at 5,487.03, while the tech-heavy Nasdaq ending 5.21 points, or 0.03% higher, to reach an all-time high of 17,862.23 points. The Standard & Poor's 500 is an index that tracks the stock performance of 500 of the largest companies listed on stock exchanges in the United States. It's one of the most commonly followed equity indexes and includes approximately 80% of the total market capitalization of U.S.-listed public companies. The index also reached an all-time high for the 31st time this year, driven by AI momentum. And much of that AI-driven push can be attributed to Nvidia. Dubbed Wall Street's AI poster child, the tech firm is now the most valuable company in the world, surpassing Microsoft for the title. Nvidia shares rose 3.5% higher on Tuesday, while Microsoft fell 0.5%. Its market cap now stands at roughly $3.34 trillion. The U.S. chipmaker has enjoyed a massive surge for the past 18 months, as its chips are unmatched in producing processors that power AI systems, including generative AI, the technology behind OpenAI's ChatGPT. Hydrangeas, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, chances of a full-scale confrontation between Israel and the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah have been raised. Comments to this end by Israel follow footage shared by Hezbollah allegedly showing Israeli military and civilian sites in a number of Israeli cities. The 9-minute video clip itself comes as Israel's military claims plans for an assault against southern Lebanon had been approved amid rampant clashes with the Iran-backed militants based in the region. In a statement on social media, Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz warned, in the case of an all-out war, Hezbollah will be, quote, destroyed and Lebanon beaten. Over in the U.S., the governor of New Mexico has declared a state of emergency for areas affected by wildfires. Two blazes that began on Monday forced the evacuation of a town of over 7,000 people and damaged 500 structures. The larger fire was detected Monday morning and has affected a populated tribal area. The second fire was detected in the afternoon in a remote mountainous region. As of midday Tuesday local time, both blazes reportedly remain active. On a light note now, BTS fans are in for a treat as Jimin is poised to release his second solo album titled MUSE on July 19th. Now, this is according to the boy band's label, Big Hit Music, on social media. Jimin's track Closer Than This, which was released shortly after he enrolled in the military enlisted in the military that is, last December, will be one of the 7 tracks on MUSE. The restoration of a historical site in central Seoul has been completed, and now city officials are offering the public the chance to experience firsthand its significance and more. Our Choi Seong was there.
After 8 years of restoration, the site of the State Council of the Joseon Dynasty, or Uijeongbu, is open to the people again from Tuesday. It is a symbolic heritage site near the Gwanghwamun Gate, one of the landmarks in central Seoul. During the dynasty, the Uijeongbu was the highest office, led by the 3 highest-ranking officials that advised the king and deliberated over key problems. Following the Japanese occupation, most of its main buildings were destroyed and the land used for colonial offices. In 2016, the Seoul metropolitan government began to restore the site.
The Uijeongbu State Council Site Square project aimed to restore the historical and cultural landscape around the Gwanghwamun area and return it to the people, emphasizing its significant academic value.
The sites of the 3 main buildings, which had been buried for over 100 years, and the small garden where the officials rested, were uncovered together.
People can relax and feel the history within the newly created garden, right beside where the old pond and pavilion used to be.
Visitors also can experience the authentic atmosphere of that time through the preserved old stone paths and some new square foundation stones.
I was curious. I wondered how the structure had been restored and what the old Uijeongbu would look like. That's why I came out here on purpose.
I think it's wonderful that the government has enabled people to have a view of the restored sites, that it shows the connection between and the importance of the history for the people of South Korea, that they take note of the heritage sites and that they are now able to have them open up for the public, which I think is very significant, that the public are able to see that and that you can share your history with the world in a sense.
The State Council site is open 24 hours a day, while an official opening ceremony is scheduled for mid-July. Choi Hyung, Arirang News.
A popular flowering plant known for its long-lasting blooms has taken over Korea's southern island of Jeju. Our Park Eun-woo offers us a glimpse.
Jeju Island is widely known for its different kinds of flowers that bloom by season. In summer, hydrangeas blossom in several spots across the island, especially in the southern part. At this time of year, Jeju is one of the best places to visit and take nice pictures with hydrangeas. As you can see, there's a wide variety of pastel color hydrangeas in pink, purple, blue, and many more. With these flowers, many tourist attractions on the island, including natural parks and botanical gardens, hold hydrangea festivals. Hyoeri Natural Park is known to have Jeju's longest hydrangea festival, running from March until August.
Hydrangeas, especially the purple ones, are so beautiful. I think it was really worth it coming here. It's so peaceful listening to the birds singing and feeling the fresh air in nature.
It feels great to be here with my high school classmates, meeting them after a long time. It's soothing as the hydrangeas bloomed beautifully. I'm going to visit here again.
Foreign tourists also enjoyed their time at the festival, saying that it's different from where they come from.
I've really enjoyed the experience. It's my first time being in an area this kind of surrounded by the hydrangeas. They're a favorite flower of mine, so just being here has been really peaceful, and also the people around have been very relaxed and nice, and it just has great vibes.
I mean, in Singapore, we don't usually get a lot of opportunities to see so many pretty flowers with these colors, and we don't get many parks like this, so I'm not used to this kind of tranquility.
As the relaxing hydrangea festivals are held until the end of summer, why not visit Jeju to experience the beautiful vibes of hydrangeas? Park Eun-woo, Arirang News, Jeju.
Let's take a look. at the latest news in the world now. We begin today in the US, where President Joe Biden on Tuesday local time announced a new policy aimed at protecting hundreds of thousands of undocumented spouses of US citizens from deportation. Under Tuesday's executive order, some 500,000 people will be shielded from deportation, given the right to work in the US and a guided pathway to US citizenship. The program applies to those who have lived in the US for at least 10 years as of June 17th, while some 50,000 children under the age of 21 with a US citizen parent will also be eligible. While Biden's new executive action is widely seen as one of the most significant policies to protect immigrants since Obama's Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program enacted 12 years ago, Republican Senator Bill Cassidy said that Biden's got a political problem in that he's going to shut the border down, while also reassuring his progressive left. With the support of nearly all of the country's lawmakers, Thailand's Senate on Tuesday passed the final reading of a marriage equality law, leaving only the royal approval before Thailand becomes the first country in Southeast Asia to recognize same-sex couples. The 152-member Thai Senate voted overwhelmingly in favor, with 130 votes for and only 4 votes against, while 18 senators abstained. The Marriage Equality Act includes amendments to the language in Thailand's civil and commercial code concerning spouses by changing men and women and husband and wife to individuals and marriage partners. Lawmakers and activists were seen celebrating inside and outside of the Thai parliament, waving rainbow flags in solidarity with the LGBT community. The bill now awaits the pro forma endorsement by the King of Thailand, which will then be published in the Royal Gazette, with the bill's effective date set for within 120 days of publication. Now to Saudi Arabia, where the annual 5-day Hajj Islamic pilgrimage to Mecca comes to an end on Wednesday. Pilgrims began performing the farewell tawaf on Tuesday, which includes the circling of the Kaaba in Mecca's Grand Mosque for the final time. Scorching heat of up to 51.8 degrees Celsius resulted in a number of casualties this year, where at least 550 pilgrims from Egypt, Jordan, Indonesia, Iran, and Senegal have died from mostly heat-related illnesses. According to authorities, more than 1.6 million Muslims from 22 countries traveled to Mecca this year, while around 222,000 Saudi nationals and residents performed Hajj. The Hajj is one of the 5 pillars of Islam and is a religious duty that must be undertaken by all able-bodied Muslims at least once in their lifetime. Walter, the future-reading oracle orangutan at Dortmund Zoo, has his latest predictions, saying that Germany will win against Hungary in its second game of Euro 2024. The 35-year-old Sumatran orangutan has predicted World Cup, Euros, as well as European club competition results, and made his latest prediction on Tuesday by picking a sack of fresh fruits decorated with the German national football team's scarf first. Walter then went to take the Hungarian scarf as well, which the zoo spokesperson said he interprets as Hungary scoring an honourable goal at the end. Walter predicted Germany's win against Scotland in the Euro opening match. Kim Jong-un, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. The midsummer heat continues its upward trend across Korea, going 5 to 7 degrees above normal, with heat advisories in place for more parts of Korea. Seoul is forecast to have the season's highest temperatures at 35 degrees Celsius. Meanwhile, the monsoon season kicks off on Jeju tonight, and by Friday, Jeju could see up to 200 millimeters of heavy monsoon rain, while the rest of the southern regions could see 5 to 20 millimeters of rain until tomorrow. The rest of the country should be under blazing sunshine with very high UV rays. Afternoon highs could be 1 to 5 degrees higher this afternoon, topping out at 35 degrees here in the capital and Daejeon, Daegu, Gyeongju at 36 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow should be as hot as today. The monsoon season in the central regions usually begins around June 25th, but no exact date has been given by the weather agency yet. Meanwhile, tonight's monsoon rain on Jeju will continue into early next week. With that in mind, let's take a look at the international weather conditions.
And those are the headlines at this hour here in Korea. Coming up next is our daily panel session, so do stay with us.
Arirang TV is conducting a quality and satisfaction evaluation to enhance the broadcast service for viewers worldwide. Please visit our website www.arirang.com to provide your honest opinions. Participants will be entered into a draw for a chance to win prizes. Overseas TV viewer survey. We look forward to hearing from you.
Adventure. Play now. recording to playback, everything you need in video production. New software at no additional charge with unlimited upgrades. Creativity I want. Easily with Easy Pass. Get now for $2.99.
Korea shared intentions to boost inbound tourism, and as part of such efforts is a new visa for foreign K-pop trainees, among other initiatives. So what are the other initiatives? Why has tourism revenue been slow to recover? And how have inflation and social media affected tourism trends? Hello and welcome to yet another edition of Issues and Insiders. It's Wednesday, June 19th here in South Korea. I'm Min Sun-hee. Korea is hoping to play host to 20 million foreign tourists this year. And in line with this intention, relevant officials recently unveiled a set of measures aimed at boosting inbound travelers from overseas. For more on this, I have Professor Bae So-young at Kyung University live on the line. Professor Bae, it's good to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
I also have Konsoa here in the studio, so welcome back.
Hello, Sunny.
Right, so what do findings for the first 4 months of this year tell us about the flow of foreign tourists to South Korea?
Well, Sunny, remember at the beginning of the year, around February, we were talking about the tourism trend here in Korea, and we saw significant recovery in 2023. Now, the recent figures, the latest data show a much bigger rebound in foreign tourists. Now, with a recovery to 88.8% of pre-pandemic levels in the January to April period. So let's take a close look at the trend in recent years. Back in 2019, that's of course before COVID-19 broke out, Korea welcomed a record high number of 17.5 million foreign tourists. The number plunged to 2.5 million the year after, and worse, to below 1 million for the entire year of 2021. The country experienced a rebound in 2022, and in 2023, things improved greatly with 11 million visitors. Now, if we draw our attention to the figures in the first 4 months of this year, 4.87 million international tourists, a huge jump from 2.6 million last year, so very roughly almost twice as much. Also, it's close to 89%, as I said, of the same period in 2019, raising hopes for the whole year, for which the government has set a goal of attracting 20 million tourists. Now, by country, the number of tourists from the top 2 visitors to Korea, China, and Japan have not yet recovered to pre-COVID levels, roughly 80%. We're talking about the January to April period again. However, compared to last year, the situation has improved immensely. Just look at China, from 250,000 to 1.4 million. And that goes for all countries. An on-year rise is seen in all of them. And also, when we look at tourists from Taiwan, the US, Indonesia, and Singapore, the figure has even risen beyond 2019 levels. The US 307,000 to 367,000, and Indonesia and Singapore having even recovered or actually surpassed 1 million in the first 4 months. Now, along with the recovery of the early months of the year, a speedier increase in foreign tourists is expected from here on, with an expansion of international airline routes in the second half of the year, and of course the summer vacation season coming up as well.
Right, indeed. Professor, despite the rebound in foreign travelers to South Korea, I understand tourism revenue has been recovering at a slower pace. How do you explain this discrepancy?
Yes, despite the rapid recovery in tourist arrival,
tourism revenue has been slower to rebound. So in 2021, revenue dropped to $1.06 billion and only saw a slight recovery to $1.51 billion last year. And specifically, the average length of stay, it decreased from 7.8 days last year to 6.5 days in the first 4 months of this year. And why is that? First of all, globally, there is an inflation. Economy is not very strong. So people try not to, make long travel. And also they try to change their travel plans. So they rather choose closer destinations. And sometimes, they even choose destinations closer and make domestic trips. And the trend has even shifted from group tours to individual-based travel as well, and also from shopping-oriented activities to more culture immersion and cultural experiences rather than very, very touristy activities. So in the past, many visitors to Korea came in groups, and group tours usually have many shopping itineraries. But in recent years, influenced by K-content and K-culture, people rather like to enjoy real-life activities. So something that's very similar to what Koreans typically do. So rather than shopping at duty-free stores, they rather like to shop at the convenience stores or beauty stores, or they would like to enjoy, chicken and beer or convenience store lunchbox rather than eat at a fine dine restaurant. So rather than touristic activities and consumption-based activities, they like to do more Korean typical leisure activities.
Right, so more cultural activities, which essentially then leads to a drop in revenue with regard to tourism income then. And staying with that, Swa, can you tell us a bit more about the shift in travel trends that Professor Pei touched upon?
Sure, I chose 3 keywords that would describe the trend: K-culture, experience, and activity. Korea lovers these days are really into experiencing K-culture in an active way. There we have it again, experience, K-culture, and active. So rather than sightseeing and enjoying traditional tourist attractions, like Professor Pei mentioned, it's about indulging into K-culture to the fullest. So let me bring up some examples. The K-pop dance experience. There are studios that have programs for foreigners visiting Korea where they can learn choreographies to idol groups' hit songs, with a professional even filming videos for the learners to post on their social media. A similar studio experience for those that are into singing, who can record their own cover of favorite K-pop songs with professional directing and vocal training as well. The personal color diagnosis is also very popular among tourists who are especially into K-beauty. They would get their personal color analyzed, then go shopping or get their hair and makeup done according to the results. And influenced by K-dramas, fortune-telling has also become a unique experience for foreign visitors, which is why more and more fortune-telling cafes actually provide foreign language services. And another shift in trend can be seen in the location foreign travelers like to visit. In the capital Seoul, Myeongdong used to be the place bustling with tourists. Nowadays, Seongsu has become one of the most hip places. In fact, a report showed that the number of Chinese tourists in January in the Seongsu area hiked almost 62% on year, whereas there was a tiny rise of 0.1% for locals. Now, lastly, I want to mention that foreign tourists to Korea are becoming younger. More than 1 in 3 foreigners who visited South Korea last year were under the age of 30. Those aged 21 to 30 accounted for 25.3%. Those aged 20 and under for 10.3%. That according to the Korea Tourism Organization's data.
Right, I see. And then, Professor Pei, as you mentioned earlier, high inflation has affected travel trends. That being said, then, how do you suppose has social media platforms affected trends on the tourism front?
Yes, the very, very notable trend is the importance of social media. So we are all surrounded by a flood of information. So when you decide to go somewhere, you will always bring smartphone and you will be connected to SNS channel. And it's become a primary source of travel information and also a major trigger to make travel decisions. So the 2 dominant behaviors of individuals living in this social media era, it's actually searching and sharing. So people search information from SNS channel, and also after their experience, they will for sure share their experience on the SNS channel. So people heavily rely on those experience-based information on SNS and also produce such information, and it affects their experience and the next travel decision as well. And in fact, people's travel motivation have changed, and they seek like Instagrammable places, Instagrammable contents, and also locations that are great for upload. And this travel trend actually influenced not only for the travel destination choice, but also their behavior and also their activity patterns. And also it's highly related to those K-culture spread. So thanks to those social media, it's contributed K-culture and K-content to become well-known on the global stage.
Right. And in light of this shift in travel trends, so I believe the government recently unveiled a new set of measures to better reflect this reality. Do tell us more.
Right. The government on Monday announced a comprehensive plan to enhance all aspects of tourism for international visitors, from improving convenience in entry procedures to offering a wide range of tourist programs, mainly to address the slow rebound in tourism revenue despite the rapid recovery in the number of tourists, which Professor Pei earlier explained to us. Now, one of the measures include the expansion of infrastructure for visa issuance, such as visa application centers, and a reduction of issuance time by increasing visa-related personnel. Group tourists can look forward to a simplification in applying for the KETA and electronic travel authorization. According to the Ministry of Finance and Economy, which made the announcement, revisions to visa rules are needed to successfully deal with changing tourism trends. And also in line with that, transportation is expected to become more convenient with new flight routes to connect cities outside of the capital, Seoul. So for instance, connections between the southern port city of Busan and Jakarta, or Chungcheongbuk-do province and Bali. There will also be an expansion of the Easy Drop service, which lets travelers check their bags outside the airport prior to departure. And if all goes as planned, the government is hoping to attract 30 million tourists annually and reap $30 billion in revenues stemming from this tourism by the year 2027.
Right. Meanwhile, Professor Pei, on a more concerning note, that is, there has been a bit of talk about the plunge in the number of travelers to South Korea from Thailand in recent times. That this particular country was also absent in the list that Soa shared with us earlier on. Could you tell us a bit more about this reality?
Yes. So from January to April this year, approximately 119,000 Thai tourists visited Korea, marking a 20% decrease compared to the same period last year. And also compared to pre-pandemic level, Thai tourist recovery remains very, very low, with numbers reaching only 58% of the 2019, the same period level. And something called KETA, as Soa mentioned briefly, it has been identified as a significant barrier in this context. Then, what's KETA? It's Korea, electronic travel authorization. So basically, Korea permits visa-free entry for the individuals from some particular country. And in this case, they don't need visa, but they still need to go through something called KETA to obtain electronic travel authorization online prior to their trips. So basically, they enter some personal information online. Then within 24 hours, they will get either approval or denial. But issues arises when travelers are denied entry without, knowing even the particular reasons. So if it's the group travel scenarios, and it's worse, because if somebody is approved while the others in the party are denied, then that's going to be the problem. And recently, the entry of those many Thai visitors has been denied. So they have expressed frustration on this KETA system because they consider this as like a second visa. And they ended up choosing the other destinations such as Japan or China because they have simpler entry procedures. And last year and this year have been designated as Visit Korea year. So the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism tried to, relieve and ease this system. But the Ministry of Justice, which oversees this system, cites security concerns like illegal stays or terrorism. So there is a strong need to reconcile this issue between those ministries.
Right, indeed, I see. Meanwhile, so moving forward, what is the latest on the medical tourism front here in the country?
There has been a visible increase in foreigners visiting Korea for medical reasons. Last year, the number of foreign patients hit 606,000. That's a 2.4 times more from the year before, and even a 1.2-fold rise from 2019, which was before the COVID-19 pandemic. The Hallyu fever, or interest in K-pop, K-drama, and K-movies, coupled with advanced medical service, appears to be attracting more foreign visitors to hospitals and clinics here. The popularity for medical tourism can be especially found in the capital, Seoul. According to a report by the Korea Health Industry Development Institute, the number of foreigners who visited Seoul for medical tourism stood at over 470,000 last year. That's a 3.2-fold jump from 2022 and even higher than some 320,000 in 2019. Hospitals in Seoul are increasingly being favored by tourists, as last year hospital visits by foreign guests in Seoul accounted for 78% of total hospital visits. Global Healthcare Service Index Nungbeo placed Seoul second in the world behind Taiwan in terms of healthcare services and costs last year. Skilled medical staff, quality of medical equipment, and the speed in taking tests were highly ranked.
Right. And against this backdrop, Professor Pei, what measures do you propose to better accommodate the surge in the number of foreign tourists in search of beauty and health-related services here in the country?
Yeah, first of all, it's very crucial to analyze the demand from various countries and tailor strategies accordingly. So customization is basically the key. So by understanding specific healthcare needs and preferences, Korea can develop tailored marketing campaigns and also specialized healthcare packages to its target country. And it's also essential to establish medical tourism cluster. So in key regions in Korea, so they offer top medical facilities with leisure and cultural activities, allowing patients and their families to enjoy a seamless blend of healthcare as well as tourism. So it will enhance their overall satisfaction, and also it will help distribute those medical demands more evenly across the country. And another thing is promotional efforts. The Korea should be visible on the global stage. So it should be recognized as a premier medical tourism destination. So we need to fully leverage our advanced ICT capabilities to offer people more accessibility of information for potential medical tourists. So that way they can easily access information, make reservation, and also consult with healthcare providers.
Right, of course. And so looking ahead now, what are some factors that look to further facilitate tourist travel to South Korea?
Well, as we have been mentioning, the government's ambitious goal for this year is to attract 20 million foreign visitors, which is part of the 2023-2024 Visit Korea Year initiative. Now, 20 million might be a big challenge, which officials from the Tourism Ministry themselves admit. However, there are a number of rosy factors in the remainder of the year we can keep an eye on. For one, the government has planned large-scale festivals and events incorporating K-culture in the second half of the year, with a growing interest in K-pop, K-movies, K-dramas, K-beauty, and K-food. And also, a significant event held last month is expected to boost inbound travel. South Korea, China, and Japan held their first trilateral summit in more than 4 years in late May, during which the three sides openly agreed to increase the number of people-to-people exchanges through the promotion of cooperation in culture, education, and tourism. So Korea could be looking forward to the top 2 visiting nations travelers to come back to Korea to the level of 2019. And another notable point to mention is the growing number of foreign tourists visiting Jeju Island. In the January to April period, 382,000 foreign arrivals were recorded at Jeju International Airport and Jeju Harbor, and that's a 406% 8% surge from the same period last year, and also already 6.7% increase from 2019.
Right, I see. And amid these rosy prospects, Professor Bae, there are pundits who say Korea needs to make greater efforts to raise its rate of returning visitors. What do you say?
Yeah, in general, travel, requires considerable time and considerable money and energy as well. So tourists will revisit a destination only if their first experience was extremely satisfying, or if there is a compelling reason to return. And the rate of revisit to Korea dropped from 50% back in 2019, but to 43% last year. It means addressing their barriers and inconveniences, it will be very, very important. And one thing to deal with will be mobility issue. So for example, when we go travel, we always bring smartphone and we use map applications. But rather than using Google Maps, in Korea, we usually use local map applications. So we need to ensure foreign tourists to have a very user-friendly interface, and also with language support, so they get enough traffic information and also local information as well. And actually, language is also the issue to deal with. So Korea lacks adequate language signage as well. So these days, many people from the global world, they have a high expectation of Korean cuisine, driven by Hallyu. And also, bibimbap has been noticed and recognized as the most searched word on Google as well last year among those recipe words. So we really need to urgently deal with this incorrect or absent English description at restaurants. And one last thing to add will be related to K-culture, as the SOA highlighted. So while K-culture motivates many people to visit Korea, but we still need more engaging experiences for tourists. So we need to develop more K-pop, K-food, K-beauty, movie-related specific contents to enjoy.
Right, definitely. There is much room for improvement then. Professor Bae, as always, thank you very much for your time and your thoughts today. And so here in the studio, thank you very much for your insights.
My pleasure.
Right, well, that brings us to the end of this edition of Issues and Insiders. Thank you for watching.